It's the second of our team reveals, and we have an expert, probably one of the most experienced Supercoach players of all time, revealing his team tonight. Guys, welcome back to another episode of Ball Logic. We're here to talk Supercoach again. We have 66.66% of 7 tackle set here tonight. And yeah, look, as much as I'd love to talk to you about the Brisbane Broncos all night, we're here to talk Supercoach, aren't we, Josh?
We are. That was a very kind intro from you. Very, very good. But yeah, we're actually here to talk some NBA. Somehow I've appeared on Ball Logic twice this preseason, which is twice too many. So it's good to be on. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I did the same to you. I probably won't give you your flowers too much because usually we're competing to not wear a clown wig every week. But out of anyone, you're probably the guy that plays the most amount of Supercoach, and I'm talking EPL, sticks it through for an AFL season. Of course, we do NRL. When NBL was a thing, you threw your hat in the ring, mate. And now there's NBA and NFL, isn't there?
Of course, mate. Of course. Look, I've obviously played NBA fantasy with yous for a while. But yeah, it's good to see that Supercoach have brought over the Supercoach format for NBA. Makes it really interesting. Like, I think we were talking, in our group chat before this came out, that was very much going to be like a guns and rookies type of approach, like similar to NFL. But if you've seen by my team and you've seen by a couple of teams that are sort of floating around, there's a lot of value in that mid-range slot. So we'll talk about that tonight. And we'll go from there.
Mate, let's just get right into it because you and I have another fantasy draft later on. We are all suckers for punishment, but and I don't want to keep you away from Battlefield and Fortnite all night. Mate, I suppose when it comes to Supercoach, we always start with the point guards, the little guys, and how have you shaped out there? I see a Primo right there in the number 1 slot.
Yes, Igor Demon. Yes, Primo. No, look, it's tough. Like, point guard was really interesting. There's a heap of names to throw up that, as you can see from basically my shooting guard slot, all 3 of those guys are eligible. Basically, my entire front court is just eligible to be switched around and move around. So, yeah, we really, really like the flexibility. There's plenty of guys there that I don't have. I know Andrew Nemhart was getting a lot of love on Ball Logic as well, but couldn't make room for him, but have gone with Kate Cunningham, basically 18 million. Look, I just think he finally had that role break, or not role, but he's always had the role, but he finally broke out last year for a very much improving Detroit side. And I just think he takes that next step. It's the most logical thing to keep progressing. He's obviously tread water for a little bit, but has definitely kicked on not last year, and really happy to have him again this year. I think it's a really good price. Schedule's looking semi-favorable. Obviously, with a lot of trades, we can move pieces around, but happy to run with Kate Cunningham until someone else puts their hand up. Andrew Nemhart, Jaylen Brown, if he can fix his, efficiency from the field. There's plenty of names there to pick up. Mate, it's very hard to get a guy with a 50-point game on his resume for less than 8 million with a bit of KPJ. I know that he's got plenty of love on Ball Logic. I'm so-so. I'm so-so. If you look at my team, I've actually got just over 500,000, so 600K in the bank. So not much flexibility, but KPJ, we've seen from the preseason, the role is seemingly there. Obviously, with Dame being waived by Milwaukee, that opens up some facilitator minutes, and KPJ has obviously come over and looks like he might be the beneficiary of that from the preseason. And obviously Igor Demon at Brooklyn, they're a bit of a basket case, and I think there's definitely going to be minutes for him. I know that there's plenty of popular of these like top draft picks, but happy to have the 3 there of Cunningham, Porter Jr. and Demon.
Yeah, I really like it, mate. Look, I agree with Cade. I'm like super high on him. I think that like he is the kind of guy that can go from All-star's probably superstar, and the whole team I think will grow this year. Kevin Porter Jr., I mean, like when we're talking 50-point games, I originally open up and look for Corey Brewer and Derek Rose, but I couldn't find
Terrence
them in the
Ross.
app. So yeah, Terrence Ross, yeah. So I had to get Kevin Porter Jr. as well, and yeah, honestly, any starter for less than 5 mil, regardless of where they are. And he was highly touted, like he's up there in the lottery being drafted with Gemin there. Again, like your whole team in these guards are all flexible. You can jump them around. It doesn't matter, whether the next guy to pop up is a point guard or a shooting guard. So another guy that's probably playing shooting guard this year. You've got Derek White on the board, mate. Let us
I
know
do.
the
I
ball
do.
logic.
I do. The
Let's go.
ball logic. His numbers are really good. Like he's not a guy that is really going to hurt you too much with the negative side of things. Obviously, with no Jason Tatum, and Drew Holiday obviously being traded as well, like it opens up a lot of responsibility. You expect a lot of that to fall on Jaylen Brown. But we saw Derek White in patches last year. I think he really sort of found his own at times when he was given a bit more sort of touches and usage under Joe Mazzulla. So yeah, happy to have him at 12.6. I think he's not going to be a guy you're really going to be ripping your hair out owning him. Reed Shepherd, we'll talk about Reed Shepherd because the last one's probably a little bit more interesting. Reed Shepherd at 4 million, obviously. Fred VanVleet going down has opened up spots for their Houston are hamstrung. They can't really sign anyone, and the only threat really on the open market was probably a Ben Simmons or a Russell Westbrook. And we've obviously seen Westbrook now sign with Sacramento, and Ben Simmons might be signing with Shanghai Sharks. That's probably the only logical place for him to go if he wants to continue playing basketball. So Reed Shepherd's probably locked in at least for the first month to 2 months, and then you obviously see those signing clauses and stuff like the 30 days waived that Houston can start making moves. But I think for the first month, Reed Shepherd's going to get a bit of usage as well. On the cheapy front, obviously don't have guys like Dylan Harper, like VJ Edgecombe as well, or, the primos in Anthony Edwards. Andrew Nemhart's a guy that's owned by over 25% of the game as well. So don't have a couple of those popular guys. And I have opted with Cam Thomas. Now, we talk about Derek White, you're not ripping your hair out with him with negative players. It's probably the polar opposite with Cam Thomas, but this Brooklyn team, mate, is a disaster. And I just think he's going to be putting up buckets. I just think he's going to be Bradley Beal on the Wizards, just putting up, just stat padding and doing absolutely nothing. And we've seen from the preseason, like he's starting to play make a bit, which really gets me enticed.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, with Cam, like we're talking about ceilings, I'm going to take you back to February 6th, 2023. Cam Thomas scored 47 points. So, like, whereas I think somebody like Derek White at a higher dollar is not going to get as many negatives, and he's going to be more of a stagnant piece in your lineup. Like Cam Thomas, if he comes out the season and just says, guys, watch me go, he could really exceed this value. But yeah, it's like a roller coaster. I know that there's going to be plenty of NRL fans out there. It's kind of like playing a KO weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. But yeah, like the thing with him is he's more expensive than guys like Edgecombe and Harper. So if they do pop off and Cam Thomas is sort of struggling, it does allow me to pick up those guys and bank a bit of cash. I just think, Cade's a stud. KPJ he's probably just going to tick along, and Derek White's just going to tick along. Like I think you need to have something a little bit flashy, because the rest of my team is pretty basic, apart from my flex, which is, I believe he was the cover of our promo in Khalil Ware, so we'll talk about him. But yeah, happy with Cam Thomas. I think I've liked what I saw in the preseason. If he's taking over more usage, obviously going to be more turnovers and more missed shots, but he's a guy that just has such a ceiling at 11.8. It's going to be a roller coaster. You're not picking him for the entire 82-game season, but if you can get on a roll, you can flip him up quite nicely. Mate, moving into center, when the game first started, I was pretty firm on having Nikola Jokic. 28 million is a steep price to pay, but I am buying into the Victor Wembanyama propaganda. I am just drinking from the Kool-Aid. again, we're not picking these players for 82 games. If you told me to bet on Wemby to play over 65 games this year, I'd probably take the unders. But in saying that, 21.8 million for a very, very good start to the season as well. He's fit, he's healthy, he looks very good. He's grown even more, apparently. He's now 7'5", if you can believe that. Yeah, I think this is the year that Wemby cements himself as a outside of that Luka, Shea, Giannis, and Nikola Jokic sort of top four. They're the Fab Four. I think this is the year that Wemby can make himself into that, or even be like the standout fifth best player in the league. Everything is moving in the direction for him to be the breakout. What is this now? His third year. Obviously, it was great in the rookie season. Second year, had the injuries, but the third year, we're really looking for these young bigs to break out. He can extend the floor, provide some spacing. He can play and make. Obviously, blocks and rebounds are going to be aplenty with Wemby.
Yeah, and like, to be completely honest, like last year was derailed with injury, and I believe it was blood clots. Probably one of the most consistent schedules. 3 game weeks, which is probably, some of these are the reasons why he probably doesn't have the captaincy armband. But he doesn't have a 2-game week, like at all, the whole season. So like legit could be a season hold. Like, you're saying you're not planning on holding anyone, like barring injury, he could be one of these guys that are actually a season hold. And we did see him play in the preseason. We did see Point Wemby. We did see him getting some assists, and maybe trying to mimic, your Jokic's and some of that Şengün and Sabonis, that passing from the top of the key from your center, and creativity. If he can get that down, I think that's where his growth's going to come from. And mate, like Victor Wembanyama, absolutely cannot argue with that. You've got A. Williams there. Is it Jalen or Jalen?
I have Jalen Williams. I just think he's severely underpriced, 3.5, just underpriced. Back on Wemby as well, like the thing with him is the schedule amazing? Like, is there any 4 games there? No, but the trade-off between the 4, if you have a heap of 4s, you're going to have a heap of 1s and 2s. Whereas the Spurs are just going to have 3s consistently, as we've sort of touched on. But also with Wemby, like, are the Spurs going to be winning 73 games this year? Probably not. But is there any center out there that isn't named Nikola Jokic or maybe AD that can really hold a candle to him in terms of like stopping his attacking output? Like, he's 7'5" and he can stretch the floor. Like, the Spurs might get whopped, but he's still going to get his own. The whole offense is designed around him. So, yeah. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Jalen of the Williams variety?
Yeah, I believe Supercoach made a bit of an error when you hop on the calculator. There's a few Jalen Williams. Apparently, it's the John Smith of America, and there was another Jalen Williams that was priced, that should have been priced at 3.5. He should be priced at about 6.9. Look, it's not going to set the world on fire, but going an absolutely bottom dollar bloke like Jalen Williams is more of an enabler for the rest of your team, isn't it, mate? Like, you never playing him.
No, not with Wemby there. Wemby's healthy. If Wemby's not healthy, we find the funds and we get Nikola Jokic when he comes in and price. So yeah, it's much for muchness. Moving into the small forwards, I mean, 2 of them picked themselves. Conklin 4.8 million, definitely as a Charlotte Hornets fan. Big ups to Buzz City. Think he plays 3 for us, with Lonzo, imagine that, with LaMelo and Brandon Miller with the 1 and 2. Nice spot up shooter. Think he'd be quite efficient from 3-point range. Bit of a catch and shoot guy. Will play some good defense as well. Get a couple of steals here and there. But yeah, really having him there to enable. When you have a guy like Cooper Flag at 5 million, obviously smash pick. He will play. We saw a bit of point flag in the preseason, which is a bit interesting. But regardless, I don't really care where he plays. He's 5 million. He's one of the best prospects we've ever seen. Get him in. But yeah, the big one, Denny Avdija, 13 million out of Portland. They've done a fair bit in the preseason / off season, but Denny has stayed firm. Really, really like what I saw from him last year. Again, very similar to Cade. Think he can take another leap forward this season. I have looked at a guy like Thompson. I've looked at moving some pieces around, getting a Norm Powell in there, but I just keep falling back on Denny. I know that you're a bit of a Denny fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I like Denny Avdia. I just think that he is the stagnant piece in this. Anyone coming from Washington has to be really thankful for where they are, even if they are tanking. But yeah, I just think a lot of the offense is going to go through him. Like you have a look at your Drew Holidays there now, Scoot being injured, obviously Dame being injured. I do think like a lot of it is going to go through Denny. I talked about Point Wemby. There could even be a lot of Point Denny going on or Avdi going on. But like he gets those defensive stats as well, without too many negatives. And he was priced at a whole year. Obviously, that's how they're going to price first year coming in. And he came off the bench for a lot of last year. Now, I hit panic stations a little bit when I saw him come off the bench that first preseason game. But since then, he's been starting. I think that he is going to be the starter in this team. And he'll be the starter for, honestly, the whole year. Which is why I see Denny as a really good pick. I'd love to be really negative on your team, but I do really like it. If anything, it's probably Cam Thomas to go with some of those guys that you did talk about, and we're doing. Like Braino, Mick, and I are gonna do our team reveals in our Patreon. The link is in the description. To maybe fill some of those gaps. But yeah, this is just a really, really good team so far. So let's have a look at your power forwards, mate.
Thank you. Yes, moving into power forwards. One of them being Ace Bailey at 4.8 million. Pretty self-explanatory as well. I think you carve out a nice little role in Utah there. They don't really have much going on, and so they'll probably just give Ace Bailey some minutes. But one of these spots is locked up by an absolute uber primo that's not being moved, and the other one might have a bit more room for discussion. Obviously, highlighted in the orange there, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 23.39 million, the staple of my team. Along with Wemby and Cade, but it's Giannis. What more is there to say? He is an absolute freak, literally.
That's his name.
The Greek freak.
And at its core, for your NBA purists, Supercoach is a points league, isn't it? And Giannis has perennially be the premier point guard points league player. So it does make sense to find a way to get this man in your team.
Yeah, no, like it's got to be one of Jokic or Giannis, so it's very tough to have both. And I just think for the savings that you're going to get, happy to have Giannis at 24. I mean, Shai's at 22, and then you obviously got Wemby. Like, I'm happy to have them there or thereabouts. But for me, it's Wemby and Giannis making a bit of a saving there. And yeah, in a points league system, he's great. In a 9-cat system, he's great. He just does everything. Very happy to have him. Very to have the captaincy on him. But let's talk about Nikola Jovic out of Miami. Power forward center eligible, which is really, really handy. 8.4 million. I'm just so enamored by Jovic. I mean, has been a very, very recent addition to my team, courtesy of Brain Talks Ball, sort of convinced me on him, and I did a little bit more digging, and really happy with the numbers I see from Jovic, and obviously seeing in the preseason the minutes that he's getting, the usage that he's getting, the role that he seems to carve out in this Miami team. 8.4 million. I think that is way too low for what we know we can do.
Yeah, I agree, and looks to be the starter in Miami. I think a much better fit than Khalil Ware next to Bam, which is really interesting with your flex pick. But look, Jovic will be able to carve out a great situation. The draw is there, not elite without being very poor. Quite similar to Wemby's in a lot of ways. I think when I have a look, it goes 3-3-4, 3-4, 3-4, which is like quite stagnant in your team. I don't think that you're going to be looking to trade him out in a hurry, but I am very, very interested to hear you going Khalil and Jovic. It's a bit of a dead giveaway when he's on the front cover of the episode, mate. So like, I think these two men could play beside each other. But of course, you've got all-star Bam Adebayo there as well to fit into that. Talk us through a little bit about having 2 Miami power forwards in your team.
Yeah, I mean, don't love it. I just think we talk about like a points per minute. I think Khalil Ware is one of the best PPM guys in the league. Like he doesn't need minutes to ball out. We saw him do it last year. Look, I think Miami look better when it's Jovic and Bam. I think they do struggle with Ware and Bam on the floor together. But in saying that, like I think Khalil Ware showed us enough last year that he's going to get significant minutes in this Miami team. Look, if I do start to waver, I'm at a nice price point that I can sort of shift to really anyone. Like it's 11 million and under, and there's so many good options that we can look at. We can look at someone like Colin Sexton when, inevitably LaMelo or Brandon Miller go down. But we've seen Keegan Murray sign a massive deal today. We see Tamani Kamara, take a really good leap last year. Peyton Pritchard, if he gets more hands on the ball as well. So I've got plenty of options at this flex position. I can go cheaper in a rookie. I can, go up to 11 million. But I think for now, with the money that I've got, Khalil Ware, 10.3, it's not ideal picking a guy over 10 million that's most likely to be coming off the bench, but I don't think he needs 30 minutes a night to really put up big numbers. I think if he's gotten into that 25 to 27 minute role, I think you can make an absolute mockery of the 10 million price tag. We saw him ball out when Bam went down last year. We saw him ball out when he gets minutes. It's just pairing him with Jovic is probably not optimal, but I just love watching him play. I think he's a really fun player to watch.
Yeah, look, I can get around it. And honestly, his stats have been elite. Like his preseason has been the best in the league. And especially from a point per minute. And look, surely he gets more than 20 minutes a night, which is kind of what he averaged. When he was coming off the bench, it was more like 16, and then he averaged that sort of 25, 26 last the back end of the year. I do think that Khalil Ware is a good pick. Ace Bailey, it's come out with that knee tendonitis in both knees that he's battling a bit and probably racing the clock to come back from. I still just really struggle to find a power forward better, even if he is battling injury. I'm not really interested in Colin Murray Boyles or anybody like that when it comes to power forward. It was really a draft that had Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, and Daylight when it come to forwards, at least, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at that price range as, the Maxime Prosper, there's Ron Holland, there's, Gigi Jackson potentially, there's NBL heartthrob Alex Tui, but really, I'm just happy to have Ace Bailey there. Like, I think when he eventually comes in, he'll play decent minutes, but in the interim, like Jovic and Giannis, happy to have them on lockdown. Having a guy like Ware, you can move Wemby to flex. You can have, Jalen Williams slide down. There's plenty of options. Like there's plenty of guys that can cover. Cooper Flagg is powerful and eligible as well. So having Ace Bailey just sit there and rot. Happy to do that until he comes back.
Mate, that's your team. Obviously very prominent in other Supercoach sports. They don't call you the fantasy whisperer. How do you obviously you've made this team, so you'd be happy with it. I probably found NBA one of the hardest. I reckon the salary cap made it really hard to make a team, which led to a lot of these rookies. Like when I'm looking at fantasy, and quite frankly, when I look at NRL Supercoach and that at the start of the year, I'm probably not adding people with the roles like Bailey and Reed Shepherd. So it's a bit of a different one, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, I think you look at something like NFL where it's a very clear guns and rookie strategy. I don't think I had one mid-ranger in NFL. Obviously, NRL is a little bit different. AFL is a little bit different as well. Like each sport's unique. But yeah, I think NBA presents a really, really nice dynamic where the salary cap wasn't like ridiculously huge. So it made us sort of have to pick a lot of these mid-range guys that take a punt and take a flyer. And I think that will have our teams in different steads come tip off of the first week. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. Seems like the comments did dig. I believe there was a question floated around potentially of having me as a regular member of Ball Logic, which look, I probably can't commit to. I can barely commit to my own podcast that I do, but no, it's always good to come on and talk a bit of ball every now and then. But yeah, it's been a long preseason for you boys, and tip off not too far away.
Yeah. After this, we're about to head into a fantasy draft.
Oh, yeah.
Look, while I've got you live, what pick do you have in that?
I believe I'm on the turn. I think I'm 12. I think I get the hook, don't I?
Yeah. Well, it was hard because there was 3 Joshes in that comp.
Yeah, I saw Josh get the first overall pick, and I was over the moon. Then I realized that wasn't me.
Yeah. I don't mind the turn. I think you'll be all right there. I think I'm picking from number 7.
I haven't drafted the turn. I haven't drafted anywhere near the turn this year. I think I've had 4 drafts this year. It's been like the 5th pick, the 7th pick, and the 9th pick. So it's good to get something new, have a different strategy, have different players. No doubt I'll end up with Joel Embiid for the 5th time somehow.
Sounds good. Yeah, when Josh goes into deep depression after a Joel Embiid injury because he's just lost 12 grand's worth of cash leagues.
I've got Joel Embiid in every single cash comp that I'm
in. Mate, I somehow have John Collins and Brandon Ingram in 3 of 4 leagues each, and I didn't even know they were mine, guys. I just obviously rate them more than everybody else. So anyway, and yes, this fantasy draft will be live in 25 minutes.
We had our Insight creators, like the League of Insight, which is like the league that we all care about the most because it's all of the Insight boys in a draft. I somehow ended up with Zion, Jaren Jackson Jr., Joel Embiid, Klay Thompson. I've just got a walking injury ward happening right there. So I'm either going to win the league and be undefeated or come dead last, which is what we want to see.
Well, after you took Joel Embiid, I actually reached for my phone, but it was flat. I actually wanted to message you and say that this doesn't have 5 IL plus spots in this league.
Because you drafted one before me. You're at 4, I was at 5, and you took LBJ in like the 6th round or something like that, and I was taking him as well. So I was going to load up on Joel Embiid and LeBron. So it's going to be a very fun time. I was looking at Tyler Hero as well, so it's it's very funny. But keen for this draft as well. I think it's our $100 one, so it's our biggest buy-in.
Yeah, look, I'm excited. Again, thanks, mate, for coming on. It's great not to talk about the West Tigers with you. That was actually really refreshing. Geez, I didn't.
Couple more months.
May or Benji didn't get mentioned once on this podcast, so there's the count at 1 for the end. But yeah, mate, thanks again. Weirdly, I'll be probably texting you in 25 minutes again for our next draft. But I'm gonna smash this burger, and you've listened to a Ball Logic podcast. He means cheerio.